Hello, everyone. Luke here. First of all, I would like to thank Valence for putting this event on and also for pushing the space forward and improving upon the supplements and helping lots of people heal. Okay. So, what I want to talk about in my video for this summit or whatever you want to call it, um, I'd like to talk about the pulling down exercise. I personally feel at this time that the pulling down exercise is one of the most underrated aspects of the program, especially for certain personality types. Okay. It's great that we've introduced so many things into the program that help different people. And of course, many different people on the program need different things. So, some people, as we know in the beginning, they need to be more strict with the diet. For instance, if they have candida problems, they might need to completely avoid carbohydrates or something like that. For some people, they react really quickly to the supplements. I think this is especially true for the valence supplements, which definitely move people faster from what I've seen. It's you know pretty clear at this point that the valence supplements not only help move people faster, but also they get a lot of people that were stuck unstuck. Okay, so for instance, I've seen people that had low NAK ratios for 10 years. All of a sudden, they take the new NAK up, and it flips within 3 months. Okay, that's just one example. Another example, a lot of the things Dr. Wilson added. So the coffee enemas. Some people need the coffee enemas; they won't heal without them. Some people need the sauna even more. Some people they really struggle; they're out of alignment, right? So they need chiropractic in order to heal. And there's a certain subset of the population, I would say, that also need the pulling down exercise, and they'll never quite fully integrate their personalities and heal at a deeper level, and they'll never quite be spiritually happy without the pulling down exercise. This might be like 10 to 15% of the population. It's hard to say. Um, I would say it is more associated with a certain personality type that needs the pulling down exercise. Okay, I would say these people are more ego driven. They're usually pretty analytical, usually pretty driven by money. That can be often the case. I would say they're more associated with manganese. I would say manganese toxicity and manganese personality, and maybe perhaps aluminum goes along with this personality type that needs the pulling down exercise. It's not so common, I would say, like the copper type personality needs it as much, and just in general. If you think of copper, copper conducts, right? So usually those people don't as desperately need the pulling down exercise. But I've noticed this with my clients. I've noticed with other people as well that they'll go on the program and they'll eliminate a lot of metals and they'll move forward just from HTMA standpoint. So they'll eliminate a lot of metals, they'll retrace infections, they'll get healthier, but their personality never fully integrates, and they still have trouble relating to other people um, more than they should. And that's really where the pulling down exercise comes in my opinion. It really can help these people sort of push down their ego a little bit, and it can help them relate to other people on a spiritual level, and it ultimately make them happier and have better interpersonal relationships. This personality type also really struggles with interpersonal relationships. So the person that I think of, the archetype that really needs the pulling down exercise, is Steve Jobs. Okay. If you know anything about Steve Jobs, he was a founder, I believe, of Apple, and he was responsible for, like, the during the big growth phase when Apple came out with like the iPhone and like the iPod and things like that. Okay, and he was an extremely driven man. I believe he was also a vegetarian. He might have been vegan, but basically he was very very driven. He worked extreme hours, and he had a certain goal that he was going towards, and he was very analytical and very smart in a lot of ways. But his interpersonal relationships weren't great. He his the people that worked under him, I think, mostly didn't like him, partially because he treated people like cogs in his machine, right? Um, his family members didn't like him. He had falling outs with his family members, co-workers, etc. And so he got to where he wanted to go as far as taking Apple to where he wanted it to be. But was he happy? No. Were the people around him happy? No. And so what's more important, right? Was it more important that he invented the iPhone? I mean, someone would have invented this eventually, right? Isn't the goal of life to be happy? Maybe you could have done both. Okay. And maybe he could have done it in a more healthy way. And he died young. Okay. I don't remember how he died. I think he got cancer or something, which would be very typical of this sort of ego driven personality type. I think they're also quite prone to cancer. So I think cancer is associated with a lot of times, certain types of cancer are more associated with certain personality types. Okay. I think cancer in general is associated with this personality type, I would say. Okay. And so that archetype of the driven, analytical, kind of manganese personality that treats people more like machines and doesn't really know how to relate to people. They relate to things more. So this is more common in men, I would say. This sort of personality type, I would say it is more common in men. The type of man that they tend to relate more to things, like even science, like knowledge, or building a business, or engineering. Elon Musk is a little bit of this personality as well, I would say. These people relate to things. At the same time, they have trouble relating to people. Okay, so Elon Musk has like what, 6, 7 baby mamas, and you can tell that he really struggles with his interpersonal relationships. Okay, even though it's the same type of thing where he's really driven and he's obviously accomplished a lot. So this type of personality does tend to accomplish a lot. So that's one benefit of this type of personality. But I would argue that you can accomplish just as much while having a better work-life balance and being a happier person. And it also teaches us in the Bible and other places that who you are is more important than what you accomplish. Okay. And I think that kind of aligns with mineral balancing as well. Is like, if you heal yourself, you tend to accomplish more anyway. But the focus is on trying to become a better person first. And so I think it integrates with that concept integrates with mineral balancing quite nicely, in my opinion. Okay. But this is an important concept, that who you are is more important than what you do. Okay. And you can accomplish a lot in a not great way. For example, in modern society, there's vampires that create giant businesses, but they're vampirizing society. They do it through cheating, through lying. Maybe they sell pornography to the masses. Maybe they sell toxic injections to the masses. And so money-wise, they're accomplishing a lot and they're building their businesses, but is what they're doing and the way they're living and the person they are best for society? I would argue that's not true, right? I would argue that's not the best way to go about it. And so for this personality type, pulling down exercise is very, very powerful. So that's why I encourage all practitioners to include as part of their programs. I know it's harder to market. I wouldn't necessarily make it, the biggest selling point. If you're trying to sell yourself with mineral balancing, it's easier to sell yourself with scientific knowledge on like copper levels or whatever. I completely understand, trust me. And it's more esoteric, so it's harder to convey to people. But just realize that it is very, very powerful. It's very needed for this certain personality type, especially. But really, everyone could use it. And for some people, it's really the missing ingredient. And so you might have clients, that they don't move forward the way that they should without the pulling down exercise. And that's something to be aware of. Okay. I think that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll talk to you guys later. All right, bye.